So what makes you want to work with the homeless?
We catch him on the way down. Next stop, the morgue.
If I stayed in one place long enough, he would find me.
I'd like a room for the evening.
It's a true story of this guy who was having some troubles, Nick, in his life, and ended up working in a homeless shelter and actually realizing he was really good at it. Then his dad, who he didn't know hadn't seen for 18 years, showed up and was on the skids and ended up living in the shelter, sort of messing up his son's life massively. And it seemed like such an encapsulation of the central question. No matter who you are, I think you have that one question: how are you going to become your own person? And that really stuck with me over the course of the 7 years and 30 drafts I did before I got to make it.
I was wondering if you had done any research prior to this film as far as perhaps volunteering at a homeless shelter?
Yeah, it was one of the most important things in the film for us was portraying the world of the homeless realistically, not trying to do something super Hollywood with it. So we actually brought a lot of people from shelters and projects into the film, and they're on camera, and I think it's really beautiful and stunning to watch. And I volunteered at some shelters and went out on the truck and would stop at a park, and you get out and set up a table, and it was the winter, so we had hats and gloves and scarves and socks, and we also had food. And a lot of these people were much more like you and me than I knew. Growing up in New York, homeless is such a part of your world, just walking by them. And there was just so many people who are not crazy or drug addicts that I was talking to, and it was really eye-opening to see so many normal, good people just in a bad spot.
Oh, I read that you had done a lot of volunteering at a homeless shelter before starting filming this movie. You had said in an interview that when you left every night you had a completely different perspective, and I was wondering what that perspective was.
You gain perspective on yourself and your own life, truthfully, in the world that you inhabit, and you gain perspective about how lucky you are to be able to take certain things for granted. And one thing, especially the shelter that we were volunteering at, the Bowery Mission in New York, you feel incredibly blessed to be able to step into that world, spend time there, and then to be able to leave and know that you have a home to go to and that you'll be able to have dinner the next day and the day after that, and so on.
Right. I thought that your character, Denise, was so incredibly strong, independent, and I felt she was a catalyst for Nick, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, I'm curious,
Absolutely.
to get him off of the wrong track of which he was headed and back onto the right track, to get off of, he was obviously drinking and doing drugs, and she wasn't going to put up with that. Do you think her leaving him helped him to get on the right track in his life?
I definitely think so. I would hope so, and I think the film, the sequence is set up to imply that it is some sort of wake-up call for him. And she had, lost someone to addiction before, and she had done that dance, and she knows what that means, and she knows that someone can't be saved. And, she's not willing to put herself through that again. And so I think when she breaks up with Nick, she's really doing it to save herself from, having to reopen all sorts of old wounds. But hopefully, I think it does serve as like a catalyst or a wake-up call for him to make some changes.
Did you learn anything new about the craft of acting from working with De Niro, the legend?
Yeah, well, Bob is amazing in this film, and as a fan of movies and a fan of him, I was so excited when I read this part that he was going to play it. And he's really effortless. He does not, you don't see him acting. He starts and it just sort of comes, it just sort of falls out of him, and it's really amazing to watch. We had so many great scenes together. We got to really mess around, and it was a joy.
Bob is so famous and is so associated with iconic roles. This was one area where I thought that would be a beneficial thing to the character, because it's kind of about how you mythologize your parents, in this case your dad. This dad is a mythological figure to his son because his son doesn't know him. And the dad would write him letters from prison. But the letters would be along the lines of, "Never fear, I'm going to win the Nobel Prize within the next 2 years." And this idea that we've seen Bob before and that he carries his baggage with him, I thought was actually great for the character. And it wasn't something that was going to throw you out. It would be a good thing.
From one writer to another. I don't care how good a writer you are, you can't kill someone with words.
Cheerful stuff.
No one will ever read it.
I just did.
We were put on this earth to help other people, Nicholas. It's a wonderful life. It's a masterpiece.